We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We got to add a little addendum to the show map today. So we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government. Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto Live. This is your week daily morning show where we bring you the latest and everything Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And in today's episode, we are going to be talking about the setup that Bitcoin is in right now and why a major rally could be coming at some point over the next several months. I'm very excited to bring you today's show. Today is #FinSov Friday. For any of you guys who don't know, financial sovereignty just means being in control of your finances rather than letting your finances be in control of you. That's what we teach here on the channel. That's how I help you to build that life out here in cryptocurrency. And I think that Bitcoin is in a position right now where it could begin a major rally at some point in the next several weeks, or it could go through a major correction at some point in the next several weeks. We're at this kind of decision point, and Bitcoin is really going to have to choose what direction it's going to move relatively soon. We're going to be discussing which direction that will be in today's episode of Coffee and Crypto Live. I really appreciate everyone for tuning in. We've already got over 50 people in chat, bunch of comments, bunch of chat messages coming in. Very excited to see all of your smiling faces, and we will go ahead and look at chat here. Alex Nibo is in chat, said, good morning. Good morning to you as well, Alex Nibo. Crypto Mini Bike is in chat, said, morning, everyone. Good morning to you, Crypto Mini Bike. Joe Bollier is in chat, said, good morning. Fabier is in chat. Dan Nolan said, bring out the weekend. What a week. That's right. Robert Kehoe said, morning, Jeb. Morning to you as well, Robert. RC Moore said, hello from Peru. We've got Fino in chat. Philly Skills 1428 in chat. Being BTC cryptocurrency alerts. Johnny John throwing some shade. Let's see if Jeb is in studio. Probably not. I am in studio. How about that, Johnny John? Good to see you. Queen said, Sarah, Jeb is looking good. Well, wow. Oh, man. You know, I need to read comments before I read. Sorry. I really need to, like, pre-read things. Yeah. Well, thank you, I suppose. Cool Crazy Techie Dude said, happy #FinSov Friday. Good to see you guys. Invest in your education. Bedrock present. Love to see it. All right. Let's go ahead and jump straight on to the content. As you guys know, Bitcoin has been trading just above $26,000 over the last several weeks, and it has been in this range, and it's been extremely boring. Just to be quite honest with you, it's been very boring. But over the last 4 days, we saw a 3 white soldiers formation coming into play on the daily chart, and that's been very bullish for Bitcoin. We saw the 3 white soldiers come into play here, and we've now seen some red price action coming in ever since then, but Bitcoin has managed to perform quite well over the last 3 days. Ever since we bottomed out below $25,000, we're back up at 26.4. So in 3 days, just over 72 hours, Bitcoin has rallied about $1,500, $2,000 in total. So that begs the question, is Bitcoin building volatility that it's going to use to break out of this zone that it's in? Let's go to a cleaner chart here. Got a bunch of them, but let's go to a much cleaner chart right here. And I'll show you the main, most important trends right now that Bitcoin is contending with. They're roughly right about here. There's a downtrend right there. And there's also a downtrend right about there that Bitcoin is contending with. There are also a few other levels of support that are significant. You've got $25,000 right here. You've also got 25,236 right here. I'll show you where that level comes from in just a second. And you've also got a level down here at about 22,808 that could be relevant if we were to fall to the downside. 25,236 comes from our levels of support, the resistance, that we set here in mid-August of 2022, about a year ago, and also here in February of 2023. As you can see from these trend lines, Bitcoin is beginning to find itself in this zone where it's getting crunched between support and resistance. And you can see that even clearly up here on this chart as well, where the trend line is drawn a little bit differently. It depends on how you draw the trend line, but the point is you can see we're coming to the end of a descending triangle pattern, however you want to look at it. We have a downtrending level of resistance, flat level of support, flat zone of support. So the question becomes, what happens next? Where does Bitcoin go from here? That's what I want to analyze today. Let's start off by reminding ourselves what the overall picture of the global economy is, because the global economy is the canvas upon which the portrait of the bull market is painted. In short, there is instability. Right now, we are looking at a bull market forming in Bitcoin over the next year. We're looking at a bull market forming in the stocks over the next year. Neither are back to all-time high, but both are certainly attempting. Both are certainly trying very, very hard. The question then becomes, are we going to see that bull market be able to beat out the instability? There's this kind of dance going on between the instability in the global economy and the desire for Main Street, for Wall Street, both of them, to go through a major rally that will end up making everybody a lot of money in the stock market. Let's unpack that. So there are some bullish factors in the United States economy right now that we need to consider. First and foremost, unemployment is very low. Consumer price index is lower than it could be. And so those are some factors that we should consider to be relatively bullish. It's good that there's low unemployment. It's good that CPI isn't at 20%. It's good that it's not at 9% anymore. There is, of course, general stability in our country, more so than most countries, maybe less so than decades past. This might feel a little bit like the 60s and 70s as far as instability is concerned, but it's still much more stable than most countries. Right. So those are all bullish factors that we should keep in mind that are conducive to the growth of a modern economy and conducive to the growth of the cryptocurrency market, as it is still viewed as more or less a tech stock rather than a true contender to fight against the United States dollar. Most people invest in it as they think it is a more like a tech stock, more technology, like Kevin O'Leary talks about, than anything else. The instability. We've got a war in Ukraine that has cost a couple 100,000 lives at this point. You've got the Novakhovka Dam blown up, which shuts down the vast majority of agricultural output that was left in Ukraine, and the ability to export pretty much anything down the Dnieper River. You've got the Black Sea pretty much shut down for trade because of the drone boats that Ukraine is sending at the Russians, and the blockade that the Russians have against the Ukrainians, and the self-imposed minefield that the Ukrainians have put around the port of Odessa and their other ports there. The Black Sea is shut down for trade. It's almost impossible to find an insurance policy for maritime trade that is going to allow you to sail a boat or a ship into a body of water that is in the middle of an active war zone. And you're not allowed to use, it might as well be impossible to do maritime trade with any real tonnage without an insurance policy. It's not something that you're able to do. So trade out of the Black Sea is basically halted. That doesn't seem like that big of a deal. Jeb, how is that applicable to cryptocurrency? The reason that's applicable to cryptocurrency is it applies to the economy, and the economy is the biggest driver of Bitcoin right now. The economy of the world over is suffering as a result of that fact, the fact that the Black Sea is basically shut for business. You're not able to get grain and wheat to market in North Africa and in the Middle East. You're not able to get oil out to market from the Russians and the little amount of oil that they are exporting anyway as a result of the $60 a barrel price cap that the West imposed upon Russia in their sanctions. You've got a lot of instability in China. Companies don't know whether or not they're going to be able to do business in China anymore a year from now because they don't know whether we'll be in a nuclear exchange with them. You've got Pakistan and Afghanistan more than likely going to go to, Iran and Afghanistan more than likely going to go into some kind of militarized conflict. So you're looking at the government anyway of Iran going against the Taliban. No good. So, the reason that's significant for the economy is because the Persian Gulf is right there. And if you have an active war zone right next to the Persian Gulf, if one of those sides don't like somebody that's sailing a freighter through there, an oil tanker through the Persian Gulf, trying to get, about a quarter of the global oil supply out to market, you're not going to be able to get an insurance policy in the Persian Gulf either. So that causes gas prices to go up. You see what I'm saying? This all impacts the global economy. This impacts the price of oil. It impacts the price of gasoline. It impacts the price of jet fuel. It impacts the price of insurance. It impacts the price of food, of iron, of steel, all of the major lifebloods of our modern economy. And all of those are very unstable right now. That being said, the United States is still going through one of the biggest bouts of nationalistic, or maybe I should say onshoring industrialization that we've seen ever. There's a huge amount of industrial output, of industrial build out going on in the United States right now. So the economy is looking wonderful. So how does all that apply to Bitcoin, and where does that lead us? Well, we are excited for Bitcoin over the next year because a halving's coming up. We believe that a halving is going to happen in about April of next year. We don't know the exact date, but we know it's coming. We know it's going to happen sometime around there. And when that occurs, we believe the 4-year halving cycle will lead Bitcoin into a major rally. So I want to kind of think about what is the backdrop going to be that Bitcoin is going to try and paint that bull market on when we get to that point. What is that going to look like? Well, I believe that what that's going to look like is that we're going to see that we're going to continue to see instability in the global economy, but we're more than likely going to see CPI significant higher, probably about 4. And from that point, the effective federal funds rate is probably still going to be paused by the time the halving comes around. It's likely at this point that we're going to see the halving take place, and then maybe 6 months later, we're going to see the effective federal funds rate start to drop, and you're going to see a major rally at some point in the middle of next year, moving on towards all-time high, potentially in summer to late Q3, early Q4 of next year. And by all-time high, I'm talking $69,000. That's what we set on, what was it, November 10th of last year, a year before last. November 8th, November 10th. Going back to all-time high somewhere around then. So what does that mean for the short term? How does Bitcoin get there? Let's start kind of painting all this on a chart just so we have an idea of what we mean here. If we're talking about an all-time high touch, let's just kind of give a rough, like October 23rd, just a ballpark idea. These are not the exact numbers. I'm not saying it's going to happen on exactly that day. I'm not trying to be Nostradamus over here or anything, but the exact date we will find out in the future. But then we go ahead and build a horizontal line right here. You can see we somehow, if we're going to get there at the end of next year, we have to plot our way up here. How do we do that? Well, halving comes into play. We're going to say late April. Again, we don't know the exact time frame, but late April, let's just call like somewhere right here. Halving comes into play. If Bitcoin is able to even get back up to $30,000 before the halving comes in, then when the halving comes in, Bitcoin only needs to double. If you'll remember, the halving took place back in May of 2020. It did take some time for Bitcoin to take off after the halving took place. May, and then it was on into November. You started to see the bull market take form about 6 months after the halving. So it's still very possible that Bitcoin is trading below 40K by the time we get through summer of next year. And then as we get towards the end of 2024, you start having a major rally that shoots us up to $69,000 and higher. And moving on into 2025, that's when you really have that bull cycle. That's what we've been predicting for over a year now. Ever since we were able to confirm that we were in bear market as a result of falling below this uptrending level of support right here. When we confirmed that we were in bear market, we've been saying, okay, late 2024, 2025, that's when we go into bull market. That's the predominant reigning theory that we've had for 2 years. And so how do we get there? Well, it stands to reason that you're going to see some difficulty going through your rallies right now. That's exactly what we saw in 2019. Just think about the number here. 2023, 2019. How many years apart is that? 4. 2020, Bitcoin was still kind of boring. What's 4 years after 2020? 2024. You had a relatively boring 2020. Now, it wasn't boring on the global stage. Gee whiz, you want to talk about geopolitics? There was a lot going on back then. What I will say is that when the halving took place, after the economy settled down a little bit, we had the central bank balance, United States central bank balance sheet, USCBBS, we started to see a huge amount of printing come into play. That started to kick in, and you see the stimulus checks come out as well, and you see Bitcoin moonshot as a result of that economic data. And I believe that will happen again. I believe that at some point in the next year, you're going to see the effective federal funds rate come down, which is going to have a similar stimulus effect as the printing of a ton of money, because it essentially allows money to be more cheap. Money is the thing that makes the economy go round. No duh. But the thing that you might not realize is that debt also makes the economy go round. I'm all for getting out of debt whenever you can and however you're able. And I'm also all for lowering your fixed expenses so you have a larger discretionary budget to use for your enjoyment, for your generosity, and for your investment and debt management and debt payment and wealth building. I call it a wealth building fund. But the fact is, the global economy runs on debt. And so when you bring down interest rates from 5.25%, where they are right now, to 1, you end up making money so much cheaper for businesses to go and get in the form of debt, that you're basically putting money into the economy in a way because you're able to accelerate the velocity of money. Remember, gross domestic product, which is data that we're going to be looking at here on the channel at some point, gross domestic product is simply a measure of the velocity with which the money in an economy is circulating through the economy. And so when you have lower interest rates, it allows people to take out debt quicker, which allows them to spend money quicker, which allows people to make money quicker, which allows people to go and take out money in the form of loans quicker. It increases GDP. It ends up increasing the amount of activity in the economy, and it ends up allowing people to believe that the stock market is going to do well, allowing the stock market to go up, and it ends up allowing people to believe that the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency market is going to do well as well. When we see the effective federal funds rate come down, it's going to have a very similar impact on the market that we saw right here. When we started to see the United States Central Bank balance sheet, USCBBS, going up. United States Central Bank balance sheet going up. Now, time out. I know you're probably wondering, well, Jeb, what's the United States Central Bank balance sheet? What in the world is that? United States is the country we live in. Central Bank, that's the Federal Reserve. So the only thing you're really wondering is what's the balance sheet? The balance sheet of the Fed is essentially how many assets have they purchased. Remember, the Fed has the ability to write a blank check for however much it wants and buy something with money that it created out of thin air, because the Fed is the progenitor of money. They're not the ones that create it actually physically. That's the Treasury. But they have the ability to just create money in a computer in a fiat sense. And so what this United States Central Bank balance sheet is all of the stuff that the Fed owns. And it's normally in the form of treasuries and mortgage-backed securities. Treasuries is basically buying money from the government, allowing the Fed to fund the government by creating money out of thin air to allow the government to borrow money from the central bank. Let me say that again. It might be a little confusing. The Fed creates money out of thin air through the form of a treasury. The United States borrows money from the Fed and pays interest on that treasury to the Fed. It's a little bit convoluted. The other way that they put money into the economy is through mortgage-backed securities. Essentially, you have a bunch of mortgages lumped into a fund, and it is, securitized, is traded on an exchange. The United States Central Bank, the Federal Reserve, buys those securities, and that gets added to their balance sheet. You can see that whenever they do this, that led to a massive rally on Bitcoin, because essentially what that's doing is creating money out of thin air. It's putting money into the economy that wasn't there. There's about, I want to say between $4 and $6 trillion of that. It was about $9 trillion, 9.6 at total. At peak, that was in early 2020. It's coming down now. At peak, they had about $6 trillion, I want to say, in mortgage-backed securities, $4 to $6 trillion. I'd have to check on that. But the point is, it was trillions of dollars. Those are trillions of dollars that were not in the economy before, because you have a seller selling the mortgage-backed security to collect money, but the money is coming from nowhere. The money is poofed into existence from the Fed. So you end up inflating the whole economy, and you end up putting that money straight into the economy. If they buy $5 trillion in mortgage-backed securities, well, now there's $5 trillion more in the economy because they didn't come from anywhere. The second law of thermodynamics, matter can neither be created nor destroyed, does not apply to fiat currencies. That's the reason that we're in Bitcoin in the first place. So that was a stimulative effect on the economy, because all of a sudden you got $5 trillion more in the economy. Well, shoot. That money gets disseminated. It runs throughout the entire economy and liquidates the entire system, and then people have more money to invest in things that are more risky. Stock market's in a massive rally as a result of that. Why? Well, you got mortgages going crazy. It's one of the reasons housing prices went up, and you're able to put that money straight into the stock market. By the way, this is completely off topic, and this is the 2-year-old in me thinking, this chart looks a little bit like a chameleon. That's pretty funny. Anyway, what's the point here? We have a zeitgeist of instability taking place on the global stage. You've got the halving coming up, and you've got the Federal Reserve more than likely going to drop interest rates once they see inflation coming under control. So this all becomes an inflation question. Is inflation going to come under control? I think what you're going to see happen in the oil sector is even more build out than you're already witnessing. The gasoline prices are going up, allowing the oil and gas companies to grow their enterprise, reinvest money into their enterprise, and make more money. Now, many of them are taking it in the form of executive bonuses, and many of them are using that extra money, that extra profit, to reinvest into other companies because they believe they can get a higher return there, and they're also worried about the longevity of the gas sector anyway, the oil and gas sector anyway. But regardless, you are going to see more production, even if it's not as much more production as you would like. There are plenty of people that want, we're talking ExxonMobil, BP, and all the other little like mom and pop oil drillers. I actually know a guy that used to have an oil company. There actually are a lot of smaller oil companies, in case you didn't know that. It's interesting. They've got like one field, so almost like a rancher. Those people are going to continue to put money into their operation because they're trying to expand. There's a lot of small business, believe it or not. Small business defined by the SBA, Small Business Administration, is anything under 500 employees, by the way. So I'm not talking necessarily about, a convenience store run by grandma and grandpa. I'm talking about small business as defined under 500 employees. There's a lot of oil companies in that category that want to grow and they want to compete with ExxonMobil. They want to compete with BP. They're going to increase production. When they increase production, because there's plenty of oil in the ground, especially since the discovery of fracking. Plenty of oil in the ground. That's going to hopefully stabilize prices on gasoline around $4. Maybe it'll come down, probably won't. Hopefully, maybe not. Right? When gasoline gets under control and when food gets under control, which they are moving in that direction, and the Fed sees that inflation is not going through this second wave up that we've been talking about, but it's actually starting to come down again. That's when the Fed can start saying, okay, we can start lowering rates down to 4%, down to 3%, down to 2%. I predict that that's going to take place at some point in 2024. When? We don't know. At some point in 2024, maybe on into 2025, but I predict at some point in 2024, we are going to see those interest rates come down. And when we do see those interest rates come down, we are going to see a major stimulative effect on the Bitcoin market, because all of a sudden, you're going to see the stock market hitting all-time highs. I can basically guarantee that. So long as there's not some kind of black swan event, if interest rates come down, the stock market goes to all-time high. That's with like a 95% certainty. The stock market is very easy to predict, much easier to predict than Bitcoin a lot of times. When that occurs, when the stock market is back into, we're making new all-time highs every day, when it's in that territory, the cultural mindset shifts and people are more interested in making risky investments. And that's where Bitcoin comes in. So you see this confluence where the halving comes in and you see the 4-year cycle kicking in. At the same time that interest rates are likely going to come down and lead to bullishness in the stock market. Hopefully the Dixie will come down as a result of that as well. And then you're able to see more investment in Bitcoin because people are more likely to want to invest in risk-on assets. At the same time, you'll see a rally in tech stocks. Tech stocks are still doing relatively well, but you will see a rally in tech stocks as a result. This is good for Bitcoin. And it means that one of the things that you can do after getting your personal finances in order, you can spend some money investing in Bitcoin. By the way, if you're not invested in the stock market and you have a bunch of debt, work on those two things also. Say that loud and clear for the people in the back. If you were only invested in crypto, I think you might be missing out on some things. It's a good idea to have some in the stock market to kind of secure your retirement just in case, so that you don't have to worry about the risk as much in crypto. Max out your Roth IRA. It's $590. Buy what? Buy the market. That's it. Don't get complicated. Go open a Fidelity account. Don't even have an affiliate with them. Might get one. Open a Fidelity account. Vanguard, Robinhood. I don't care. Buy their index fund for the stock market. Max out your Roth IRA. If you're $6,500 a month, a year, $590 a month, max that out. If you got at least 20 years until you retire, you're going to have like 500 grand when you retire. That's a retirement. Then use everything else if you want to play in crypto. Go for it. But secure your future. Like I don't talk about that much because that's kind of a given, but I think I should mention it every once in a while. Max out a Roth IRA. Buy what? Don't get complicated unless you want to. You can if you want, but buy the market. Every single broker is going to have a fund where you can buy the market. It's SPAIX on Fidelity. It's what I have. That's what we put our money into in the retirement side of things. We've got a lot more money in crypto right now, but we want to secure our retirement just in case. You never know what's going to happen. You want to have that there. Other thing, you got a bunch of debt. Get aggressive about paying that off. Use the proceeds that you are using to pay on that debt every month to invest more. All right, get those two things in order, and then you're going to be in a better position to take advantage of this bull market. But also be investing in your education, because when this bull market comes, you're going to want to be in a position to take absolute maximum advantage of it. And that's why I say it's a good idea to get your personal finances in order and also learn more about the cryptocurrency market so that when that bull market shows up, you are able to take advantage of it. Don't just sit on your hands and do nothing and just hope you're going to get rich because you have a position. Don't just sit on your hands and hope that the market's going to go up and that's going to make you rich. It might. That's a temptation for me. Sometimes I'm like, oh man, when the bull market comes this, when the bull market comes that. Well, that's great. But what about today? What can we do today to build wealth? We can invest in our education. We can dollar cost average into the stock market and into crypto. I recommend both. And by the way, you might be thinking, Jeb, why are you recommending the stock market also? Well, if I'm talking to people in the stock market, I'm going to be telling them the exact opposite message. I'm going to be saying, don't just invest in the stock market. Don't forget about crypto. Because it's here to stay. It's real. It's serious. I tell both camps the opposite. So just keep that in mind. I'm not jumping ship or anything. I've always tried to mention that. So, big picture. we've got a bull market in stocks coming next year, which is something you can capitalize on, I think. We've got a halving coming up. We know that for a fact. We've got, hopefully, interest rates coming down sometime in the next 12 months, if at least a little bit. That will be a stimulative effect on the global economy. We've got that instability in the backdrop, which leads some to want to buy in Bitcoin. A lot of people want to be more safe because of that. And so they don't think about buying Bitcoin because Bitcoin is still considered speculative. Oh, it's only worth $500 billion. I can't believe people don't hear themselves when they say that. Oh, it's only worth $500 billion. Yeah, I'm not worth $500 billion. I'll tell you right now, you guys have no idea what my net worth is, but I guarantee it ain't $500 billion. I'd love to have $500 billion, right? Bitcoin's huge. It's massive. And so it will receive investment over the course of the next several years, and I'm very excited about that. All right, let's read some chat. Really appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. Satoshi Nakamoto in chat. First and foremost, thank you for your service for creating Bitcoin. Really appreciate that. Everybody says they don't know who Satoshi Nakamoto is. I do. He shows up in my chat almost every single day. So shout out to you, Satoshi. Thank you for being here. If that's not a reason to subscribe to the channel, I don't know what is. We've literally got Satoshi here with us. So hit that subscribe button, like the video. Satoshi, I have a question for you. Why did you create Bitcoin? I'd love to know. I've always wanted to ask Satoshi Nakamoto that question. What was your motivation? What was your biggest motivation? Satoshi said, it's not their money to give. I think you're talking about the Fed. Yeah, that's kind of true. It's a bit of a mess. But Satoshi said, shrinkflation, everything stays the same or goes up while everything is packed smaller than before. That is so true. You know, you've got 12-ounce cans of like Coke or whatever, Sprite, but then you got the little ones. Who's seen these little mini Sprites? Mini Sprite. Like these things are, I think they're awesome. They're 7.5. Here, I'm obviously not sponsored by Sprite or whoever they're owned by. I don't know. Is Sprite a Coke brand? Sprite's a Coke brand. Got these little mini Sprites. I feel like Shaq when I'm holding one of those things. You ever see, like, I feel like Shaquille O'Neal holding a Sprite can. Let me just show you. Where's this picture? There's a picture around here somewhere of him holding a Coke can. Like, that's not Shaquille. This is the picture. This is what I feel like. I've got one of those mini Sprites. Shrinkflation. Here we go. This is the picture. This is Shaq holding a 12-ounce can of soda. This is what I feel. This is what I feel like when I'm holding one of these. I love them because I don't like drinking a ton of sugar, and if I want a soda every once in a while, I prefer to use something, smaller like that. So I think it's cool, but like you said, it's shrinkflation because you're dealing with a 7.5-ounce can that has the same price tag on it as a 12-ounce can did a couple of years ago. All right, let's look at Bitcoin on the short-term time frames here for a little while. Bitcoin did manage to break into our buy order yesterday, and I think we talked about this on stream yesterday because we actually kind of went up there live, but Bitcoin breaking up here was something that you could have profited off of. Remember, I recommend about a 0.1% trailing stop loss if you're able. This rallied 0.72%. Actually, rallied right here, 0.55%. Came down 0.5%. 0.1%, you would have made 0.43%. You might be thinking, well, Jeb, what about all of this price action that you missed out on over here? Yeah, but on the first candlestick, you got the entry. If you wanted to re-enter it, then you could have. You would have made more. The thing is, I would prefer to get 0.43% pretty much guaranteed rather than risking to get 0.6 or 0.7%. Because if you can get 0.43% on a trade and you're doing trading every day, let's plug that into a compound interest calculator. Let me just show you what is possible with trading if you are able to make 0.1% a day. Here we've got investor.gov over here from the US SEC. Ugh. Got $1,000 initial here. No contribution. We're gonna compound it for a year. 0.1% interest rate. Compound it daily. Calculate in 1 year. Interest rate. This is your annual interest rate. I'm sorry. I was like, wait a minute. We made $1. That's not what I meant. No, this is the annual interest rate. So the annual interest rate would be what? 36.5, I guess. But it'd be compounded daily. $1,440. There you go. I think it'd be more than that. I don't think that's right. 0.1%. 0.1. Yeah. 0.1 times 365. Yeah, that would be. Okay. But either way, that's a lot of money. You can make that much money very quickly. And so if you're compounding that, and that's with 0.1%. If you're able to get like 0.2%, let's say you're able to get 0.43% a day, right? 365 days. Let's just say you do this 200 days a year times 0.43%. That's 86% in a year that you're able to increase this. And again, this is minimal. You're able to do this. I don't think this calculator is actually working correctly for something like this. Let's say 86. Again, compound it daily. You've got $2,300 at the end of a year. You've made $1,000. Now let's try it with $50,000. You made $68,000 in a year. Do you see the way that works? Let's say you do it for 3 years and you take no profits and you build up your portfolio. Now you've got $657,000, right? That's if you're trading and you're making 0.43% and you manage to do that 200 days a year. Now, that's not something that you're probably going to do when you're just getting started. But if you're able to do that, then you can make a lot of money in trading. Now, get the personal finances under control, get a retirement account set up, and then, yes, go to town if you want to. But that's just something I want to kind of throw out there. Jeb, have you quit coffee? I did. While I was in Tennessee, I went to... When I went to Tennessee, I did drink quite a bit of coffee. And I tell you what, I do like coffee, but I haven't had any in about a week now. And I prefer it. It helps me to kind of, I don't know, helps me to be a lot more, helps me to get up in the morning, helps me to be a lot more following one train of thought, not scatterbrained. I like it. I like it personally. Okay. Doc Brown be buying. Doc Brown probably would be buying right now with that DeLorean. He knows it's coming. He definitely hasn't quit the neoconservative news consuming, that is for sure. Cloud Casino, I don't really look at anything geopolitically or politically from a political lens. I'll be honest with you, I don't pay as much attention to American politics as I do to a lot of other politics. Because I think the funny thing is that geopolitics and local politics have a much larger impact on our day-to-day life than American national politics do. Now, American national foreign policy impacts geopolitics. But I'm going to be honest, I really think that if you rate those three, your local city government, city and county and state government, and then the global affairs and the national, I think it's local, city, and state, which I can't talk about that because you guys are in 15,000 different municipalities. Second to that, it's geopolitics. And third to that, it's national politics. I'm going to follow it more so when the election comes up because I'm a voter. I'm going to vote. I have the right to do that. I'm very excited that I have the right to do that. I love our country to do that. But I'm going to be honest, that's not what I spend the majority of my time looking at. I spend the majority of my time looking at geopolitical indicators, economic indicators, cryptocurrency indicators, the development of our national economy. And yes, politics is a part of that. But as far as I'll be honest with you, I couldn't even define neoconservative if I wanted to. Oh man. I'll have to look into that. I'm not catching what you're saying. 1,000 in a day and turn into 1440. That would be a year if you made 0.1%. It'd be 0.1%. And I don't think that that's actually calculating this correctly, to be quite honest with you. Trade. Because that's too small of a time frame. I don't know if that's actually Forex profit calculator. Here we go. Let's see. Here's a no, that's a Forex trade. Trade return calculator. Let me see if I can find something a little bit better here. Oh, this is your, okay. Here's a win-loss. Yeah. Let's see. Options. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to find anything very easily on this. But the point is, if you have a compound interest calculator, you know what? Let's do it like this. Let's use this calculator, but this says years. Let's just instead say this is monthly, right? So we're going to compound this monthly. So we're going to say that we're going to compound it annually, but this we're not saying it's annually, it's monthly. Just track with me here. Got $10,000, let's say. Every month you manage to make 15%. You run this for, let's see, 48 months. 48 years, but we're saying it's months. We're just changing all of these numbers to annual. Instead of that, we're saying monthly. Say that do this for 4 years. and you have an initial investment. Oh, sorry, that's not that. That's a monthly contribution. 10,000. Calculate this. Again, this is in months. In 48 months, you'll have $8 million. There we go. That's what I'm trying to say. So every month you manage to increase your portfolio by, again, this says years. Forget about that. Just everywhere it says years, we're saying months. I'm turning this into a month calculator. I'm hijacking the SEC's calculator. Doesn't that feel nice? In 48 months, 4 years, you're making 15% a month, which is very doable. You can do that in one trade if you get lucky, especially if you're an expert and you're using a little bit of leverage. You got $10,000 into it. Most of you guys can probably come up with $10,000 after you've spent your 6 to 12 months of becoming an experienced trader. It's $8 million in, this says 48 years again. I'm saying 48 months. So that's 4 years. That's very doable. And it goes parabolic. It takes off, of course. As you have a larger and larger and larger portfolio balance, that's where it really takes off. That's kind of the point I'm trying to get at. If you're able to, and that's 0.5% a day in growth. And it's not always going to be that simple. That is kind of aggressive. 15%, that's a lot of growth. But let's say, for example, that you have $100,000 because you're doing this professionally and you manage to make 15% in a month and you do this for 1 month, then you've just made yourself $15,000 that month, right? And you can live off of that. It is definitely possible. So Jeb, can you look at Bitcoin? Absolutely, we can look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is dropping a little bit. We'll look at Bitcoin as we wrap it out here. Bitcoin is currently falling down to a level of support around $26,300. It fell below our support at 26,578, and is likely to continue here for a little while. Bitcoin has also broken below this uptrending level of support right here. And because it's broken below that uptrending level of support, and we had a bull flag right here, a bull pennant right here, broke below that, that leads us to the conclusion that Bitcoin is more than likely going to go through a larger corrective movement. If we look at Lux Algo here, you can see that we've got a sell signal that is currently confirmed. You can see that this sell signal, let's see, Lux Algo's trend catcher. Where's the trend catcher? Hide everything here. Trend catcher stayed red. Okay, so trend catcher never actually turned green, so we're still under a confirmed sell signal technically. We never went into a confirmed buy signal. That sell signal gives us a take profit down here at $26,168. At this point, that looks like that may be what's going to happen. We see the purple turning to red, meaning that we're having much more significant, much more serious sell side pressure happening in Bitcoin than we previously had seen. We're also seeing MACD is very red, RSI is very red. If we look here at our Bollinger Bands, we had a tight constriction on the Bollinger Bands. If you guys remember, we've talked about Bollinger Bands at length. Bollinger Bands essentially allow for you to learn about the volatility of the market, and whenever the Bollinger Bands get very tight, typically you're going to see a breakout of some size. We were saying that we were moving into this symmetrical triangle pattern, and this was an area where we were probably going to end up seeing a major movement. Happened at 7 a.m. We saw that major movement, and it was to the downside. Bitcoin at this point in time has chosen its direction. Its direction is bearish. And so now we need to see if Bitcoin's going to start falling through support, because the only support we've fallen through so far is this uptrend. If we fall through this support as well, then that's where we will begin to see some kind of movement taking place. And again, this is another one of those areas where trading, you can make a lot of money. Look, this is a negative 0.89% movement. If you are an expert trader and you use like 3x leverage on that, that's about a 2.7% return. It's pretty good for 4 hours. If you're able to do that consistently and manage your risk, you're able to make some money. So we're down here below the bottom of the Bollinger Bands, indicating very strong bearishness. When you look at the market being below the Bollinger Bands, that indicates not so much that they're overextended, although it does mean that too, but it also means that there is a substantial amount of bearishness in play. We're opening candlesticks down here below the Bollinger Bands right now, as you can see right here on Friday, September the 23rd. Bitcoin is in a precarious state, and I could definitely see it falling back down towards about $26,000 over the course of the next couple of hours. And if that happens, something that you can consider is entering into a short trade, maybe somewhere right around now, to be honest with you, using a very conservative stop loss. Remember your 0.1% trailing stop loss. Manage your risk. It's very, very, very important to manage your risk. And then as you see the market move down here, if it does, then you can start expecting to make some money off of those trades. It's a good idea to be ready for some movement and to have a plan in place for when it occurs. So we'll keep watching that here over the course of the next few minutes. Really appreciate all of you guys tuning in. Pre-FOMC dip, potentially. I would not be surprised if that is what's going on. The Federal Open Market Committee is meeting next Wednesday, I want to say. Fed Watch has the date here. It will be on in 5 days, which is what? Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, so that's next Friday. It's the 20th, September 20th. We're going to be seeing the next Federal Reserve meeting. They're predicting a pause still after CPI data came out. I'm not sure I agree with that, but we'll see. They're typically pretty right on that. So we'll be paying close attention to the FOMC. As far as the drop, yes, I could see people being concerned and skeptical about what the meeting is going to bring, especially considering that CPI result came out 0.5% higher than previous. We went to from 3.2 to 3.7. I could absolutely see some fear, uncertainty, and doubt around the Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency market leading into that effective federal funds rate decision coming out next Wednesday, this coming Wednesday. Something absolutely to watch out for. All right, let's keep reading chat here. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. QQQ is pushing down. Yep. Can't wait for the ETF. I would love to see a Bitcoin ETF. I think that's the only way you go to $100,000 next year. Next year, it's definitely possible, definitely doable that we get back to all-time high. But if we see ETF happen, it's absolutely possible also that we go to all-time high next year. Stock market's also down a good bit today. Don't forget about that. Over here on our chart, you can see that we had a rally, but we're kind of in this descending triangle pattern right now. Downtrending level of resistance, flat level of support at 444. The stock market right now is a major, not right now, but always is a major driver of the price action of Bitcoin. Absolutely something you want to pay close attention to if you are a trader or an investor in the cryptocurrency market. All right, a couple of things I want to remind you guys about before we wrap it out. First and foremost, you saw Lux Algo in play today. It's given us some technical indicators and some signals that are very, very helpful. If you have not signed up for Lux Algo already, I would highly recommend that you do that. You're going to be so very thankful and glad that you did. And at the same time, I also want to remind you to use coupon code JEB30, that's JEBB 30 for 30% off at checkout. I'm very excited to be able to bring you Lux Algo here on the channel every single day. One thing I also want to remind you guys of is that financial coaching is live. If you guys are interested in learning about personal finance from me and learning how to get your personal finances under control, I'm going to share with you in here a system that will help you to get your finances in a state where they're actually able to help you. You might think, Jeb, well, we're talking about crypto, not personal finance. But here's the thing. I've seen so many people in the cryptocurrency market bet on making millions of dollars because they made one investment in one cryptocurrency, and at the same time, they're in $300,000 worth of debt. At the same time, they're being irresponsible with credit cards. At the same time, they've got a $2,000 a month car lease. At the same time, these are just random numbers I'm making up. I'm not using anybody's specific situation here because I maintain a strict confidentiality with my clients. But I have seen things like that where people, including myself, I've done this too before, this kind of mindset of, oh, well, everything will just all work itself out when the bull market comes. Well, what happens if the bull market doesn't come? What happens if you're not ready from a personal financial standpoint when the bull market does come? There are things that I wish I had known at the previous bull market that I want to teach you now. So I'm going to help you get your personal finances in such a way that you're going to be able to save probably thousands of dollars a month and use that money to invest into more Bitcoin so that you can dollar cost average down here. If you're interested in learning about your personal finances, I'm going to coach you one-on-one. So I highly encourage you to check out financial coaching over at our website. You can find the link for that in the description box down below. You can see both of the options here. You can have a 1-hour financial coaching session. Just did one of these last night. It was a lot of fun. Had so much fun. And you can also purchase a package of 6 plans of six sessions, and that will give you 1 session for free. So if you're interested, you can check that out. I know that you're going to get your money back. And if you don't feel like you may, I'm not guaranteeing you get your money back. What I'm saying is that I know you're going to get your money's worth, but at the same time, we do have a full 7-day money back refund guarantee for those of you who complete your 60-minute session with me. So if you come and you put your best effort in and you come with questions and you're serious about this, I'm not just saying that you sign up for this so that we can talk for an hour and then you just get your money back and you weren't actually trying. If you come and you're serious and you find that it was not worth your time, I will give you your money back. I'll give you your money back because I want to help you. And if that 1 hour was not worth $150, I'll give it right back to you. But I bet you it will be. I bet you I'll be able to find you thousands of dollars in your budget if you're like the average person that I work with that you can then use to invest in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So if you're interested, links in the description box down below. All right. Let's see here. Just wrap out reading some comments here. USA politics creates charts. Absolutely. I'm not saying politics is not relevant. It's absolutely important. All right. April, so they can bring the April Fools. Yes, the April Fools rally. We're going to see it. Which stocks are everybody buying? For us guys, my expertise is in crypto, not in the stock market. I'd love to learn more about the stock market. For us, we just max out a Roth IRA every year. Do it in a lump sum a lot of times, but you can also do it $590 a month. That'll do it. $590 times 12, I believe it's $592. $590 times 12 is oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. It's actually wait. 6,500 divided by 12. What's the number? Like I said, oh, it's 541. I'm sorry. 541.67 a month. That's even cheaper. That's $50 less than I thought it was. That's what you need to max out a Roth IRA at $6,500 a year. That's enough to build yourself a retirement account. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me see here. Press O'Neill said, why did you ignore my question? I'm looking, Press. I'm looking for your question. I don't see it. I don't see your question. It may not have gone through. Would you mind asking it again? Mini sodas are popular in the middle. Oh, in the Middle East. Sadly, drinking warm pop is too. Yeah, that's sad. Yeah, interesting. All right, guys, I am going to have to go ahead and wrap it out. Do appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. Definitely consider financial coaching. I really think I know that I can help you guys. I know for a fact, I'm just going to be honest. I know for a fact I can help you with your finances if you're in the state that the majority of people in the cryptocurrency market are in, that you'd be able to find thousands of dollars that you can go and put into Bitcoin or getting rid of debt so you have the freedom there. I know that I can help you achieve financial sovereignty, and that's something that I really, really am passionate about working one-on-one with you guys. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure to check it out. Like I said, so long as you put your best effort in, there is a full 7-day money-back refund guarantee, and I'm not going to be one of those people like, hey, you didn't try hard enough, so I'm not giving you money. No, I'm just saying, so long as you don't come just to talk sports with me, but you're actually there to learn and grow, then if you don't like it, I'll give you your money back. All right? Fair enough? Fair enough. All right. Appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. Before I go, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. But I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling. Got a real good feeling.